Hi everyone, this screencast is to teach you how to create a kaleidoscope image using Photoshop. We are going to be using one of the Photogram images that you guys created back in the beginning of the semester when we were in the darkroom. So the first thing I'd like you to do is open up Photoshop, and you're going to create a new document. And we haven't done this yet, so there's some information in here that is going to be brand new, so please make sure you're following along with this video as you're creating your own project. So to make a new Photoshop document, we can say create new here. We can go up to file and say new, and we can also press Command N, as you can see in your file here, to create a new document. So when we hit create new, however we go about it, it gives you this screen to create a new document. We are going to edit all the information on this side of the screen here. So the first thing I would do is label it. So I'm labeling it Kaleidoscope with my last name Kaleidoscope. And again, I know that's kind of hard to spell, so if you want to put mirror or something, that's fine too. But I'd like you to change the width and the height. So we're going to go with the width at 8 inches, height at 8 inches. We're going to be creating a square. And the background contents can stay white, resolution can stay at 100, and then just hit create to start that image. So basically, they're giving you a white square to work with. The next thing we're going to be doing is turning on the rulers. If you don't already have the ruler up here on the top of your screen or in your workspace or on the left-hand side of your screen right here, you need to have those numbers. And basically it's measuring how wide and tall the document is. So you can see the 0 starts at the edge, 8 ends here, it's 8 inches wide, and then it's 0 to 8 inches tall right here. So I have an 8-inch box in front of me. If rulers is not turned on, you need to press Command R. Command R will turn it off. Command R will turn it on. Command R, Command R. The next thing you're going to be doing is moving guidelines. So we need to go to our Move tool in our toolbar. If you do not see your toolbar here, remember you guys can go up to Window and you can open your tools right here. But basically, guidelines, if you click on your ruler and you pull down, you're creating what's called a guideline, which you're going to end up dropping onto your document to give yourself a guide for where you're going to place your photographs. So we're going to do a guideline at the 4-inch mark horizontally. And look at my y-axis right now, it says 4 inches, so I'm going to drop my guideline. And then I'm going to make another guideline vertically at 4 inches. So when X says 4, you can drop the line. And now you have this kind of highlighted blue line showing you this quadrant of your beginning of your kaleidoscope. So once you have that divided into 4 equal parts, you can go ahead and open your photogram. So I'm going to open my photogram in a new window up here, a new file. My photogram is sitting on my desktop. I'm using one of my students' examples. So I'm going to pull that into Photoshop by pulling it down into the icon in my dock. And now I have my photogram open and my new document open. With my photogram, I need to crop it down so that it's going to fit inside of one of these squares. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to my crop tool in my toolbar, and I'm going to set the ratio to 1:1 square, which you guys have done before doing the expressive portraits, so you guys know how to do that. So now this is going to be a square size image, and I can see that I have this excess on the side over here, so I'm going to pull that in. And I can rearrange this however I want. I can pull my image down if I want my light bulb to be at the bottom. I can pull my image up if I want my light bulb to be at the top. I'm going to keep mine somewhere near the top, but kind of, not directly in the middle. Once you crop your image, you can hit return to accept the crop. And now you can edit this image as well. So if you want to create more contrast, we can go in, we can create a brightness contrast layer. We can increase the contrast a bit on this one so if the blacks are blacker and the whites are whiter. Maybe brighten it up just a tad. If you want to change the tonality of it at all, you guys are welcome to create some color if you'd like to. So you can go to solid color, gradient or pattern, brightness, contrast, levels, curves, exposure, you guys can mess around with. It's not giving you the option, I believe it's because it's a black and white image, to do a hue saturation layer on here. But you guys are welcome to play around with this image and do what you'd like. So I'm going to keep mine pretty simple. Maybe I'll increase the lights a little bit here to make the inside of the light bulb stand out, and then maybe increase the black just a little bit down here in my curves layer. Okay, so here's the original image. Here's the high contrast image. So I need to now, this is a new thing as well, I'm going to take this picture and I'm going to move it into my Kaleidoscope document. but I have to take all of these layers with me. So if you press Shift Command E, all of your layers will collapse into one background image. All right, I'm going to go backwards. So Shift Command E and all of your layers will go together. The other thing you can do is go down to, or you can actually select all of these images. So if you press Shift, you can select all three. You can right click and you can say merge layers, and all of those will go together too. So it's two different ways to merge your layers together. Now I need to move this into my Kaleidoscope document. So I'm going to go to my Move tool, which is at the top of my toolbar, and I'm going to literally just click on this photo and drag it up to Kaleidoscope until it opens, and then I'm going to drop it. All right, so you guys have experience with this with your expressive grid portraits as well. So I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to press Command T to get a transform box. I'm going to press the Shift key on my keyboard while I'm pulling in the edge of the document and then snapping it into place in the grid. And because we measured it, and it should be 8 by 8, and we made our photo into a square shape, it should fit pretty perfectly in one of those squares. Once you get it to fit within those lines, you can zoom in to see if it actually fits. This one looks pretty good. You can press Return to accept that transformation on your keyboard. And you can see it's automatically created a new layer with that image in the upper left-hand corner. All right, so if you want, you can arrange the layer however you'd like to arrange it. Like if you don't want it being faced this way, you can Command T again, and pressing Shift on your keyboard, you can move it around. That wasn't a very good move. Press Shift on your keyboard and it will give you like the exact move. So I could place it this way if I wanted to. I can spin it around that way if I want to. I think I'm going to leave mine maybe the way that it was. No, I'll leave it like this. This is fine. And then press Return again. All right. So now what I need to do is make another one of these images to reflect on the opposite side. So I'm going to go to my layers palette, and I'm going to make sure that I make a copy of this layer. So I'm going to go down and drag this into the new layer icon next to the trash can and make another layer. I can also right click that layer and say duplicate the layer. Okay, so there's a couple different ways you can do everything in Photoshop. So now I have another layer, but you can see that it's in the same position. So all I need to do is make sure that my move tool is selected, and then I can move that layer over so that it fits right next door. Now this isn't a mirrored image, so I have to transform it by hitting Command T and then right clicking in that image to flip it horizontally so that I have a mirrored image of the light bulb on the other side. All right, so once you've done that, you can hit Return. I would zoom in a little bit just to make sure that those images line up right here and you don't see a white line, and then you're welcome to create more. So the next thing I'm going to do is actually merge these two layers together. So I'm going to press Shift, select both of them. I'm going to merge those layers together. And I'm going to make another copy of these two. So I'm going to take that, pull it down to new layer. Now I have another layer that has those two images on it. And I'm going to take those and move those down and make sure that those line up. And now I need to Command T this whole layer, go like this, right click it, flip vertical, and now I have a mirror image of those layers on top of that one. So then I can hit Return to accept the transformation. Again, I'm going to zoom in to see if I have any white lines, zoom back out, and then I can do more with this if I'd like to. So I'm going to actually combine all of these layers together. So I'm going to Shift and I'm going to right click. I'm going to say Merge Layers. Now my entire photo is on one layer. And I can make as many copies of these as I want. So I can take another copy, put that on top. I can Command T. I can change the size of that copy, place it in the middle. Photoshop does this nice thing where it tells you if it's in the middle or not. And you can play around with where you might want to place that. So maybe I want it to be smack dab in the middle of my light bulbs. So I'm going to put one here. And you can see the line turns to pink when it's in the middle. I can also rotate it if I want to, so it can be something more like that, which won't be a perfect kaleidoscope, but that's okay. And then I can press Return. I can do this as many times as I want, so I can actually make another copy if I want to. That copy is in between both copies. I'm going to press Command T, maybe make one that's a medium size in between, and maybe I end up flipping this one. Let's flip it vertical, so I have my light bulbs, oopsie, going in a different direction. Oh, let's just rotate it, sorry. Rotate it one rotate it clockwise 90 degrees. There we go. And I'm going to hold my shift key down to pull that down and then create another layer of light bulbs right here. All right, maybe I'll make that a little bit smaller so I can see more of the original light bulbs and make sure I find those pink lines. There we go. And then I can press return. So if I feel done with this, I can leave these layers as is, or I can merge them into one final layer, but I'm going to save this as a Photoshop document, and I'm going to save this as a JPEG. Alrighty, so then I can exit out of Photoshop and I can see that I have my PSD and I have my JPEG. Remember, a JPEG can be opened in any sort of application, so I can now open it in my preview and I can see it on my Chromebook and anywhere else I'd like to see it. One last thing, in Photoshop, if you'd like to clear your guides, you can go up to View, say Clear Guides, and this allows you to see the image as is. It also allows you to kind of zoom in and see if there's any kind of blank areas where the images don't overlap correctly. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to that as well. All right, so have fun with this. Do as many as you'd like to do. You can experiment with different images, combine different images together. If you'd like to do more than one photogram, you're more than welcome to do that as well. All right, that's it. Thank you. Have fun.